Breaking news just coming in. The verdict is finally out. The International Boxing Federation has banned Sarita Devi for 1 year. AIBA has banned Sarita for her protest to not accept the bronze medal at the 2014 Incheon Asian Games. She refused to accept the medal after a controversial semi-finals bout that denied her a place in the semi-finals. In some ways, it could be a relief. A 1 year ban means she still has a chance to compete in the 2016 Rio Olympics. Following the Asian Games incident, AIBA had provisionally suspended the Indian boxer along with the officials. Deciding on the quantum of punishment, AIBA informed about Sarita's 1 year suspension in an email communication to Boxing India. I want to immediately cut across to Boria Mazumdar, who's getting us more on this news break. Boria, in a way this could be read as a massive relief and a certain amount of influence being exercised by Boxing India, because what was being contemplated was a life ban and it's now a 1 year ban which leaves Sarita to train for Olympics.
Thank goodness for that, isn't it? I mean, Rio is August of 2016, so it actually gives Sarita close to about 9 months in which to qualify and make it to Rio. If we take the Asian Games, it was October, so if it's October to October, that actually gives Sarita 10 months. So yes, Boxing India, the Indian Olympic Association, both of which were trying, the Sports Ministry, all of which were trying to get this ban reduced from a life ban to a 1 year ban. But at the same time, we would still think that, there should be a process of appeal. There should be a process of appeal, because once the Olympic Council of Asia lets you off and AIBA continues to penalize you, there must be a disconnect there. So maybe the Boxing Association, Boxing India can even appeal against this 1 year ban and try and reduce it further to maybe 6 months. If that happens, well and good. But even if that doesn't happen, this does leave Sarita room to participate in Rio 2016, which is most important.
And that's where we can take heart, isn't it, Boria? And also to the fact that how the entire sporting community at a level did galvanize behind Sarita Devi. Of course, there was Boxing India, but even so, pressure was maintained by the likes of Sachin Tendulkar, who put up the issue in Parliament.
Whether she would accept the medal or not.
Correct. And Sachin met the Sports Minister in a meeting just last week. There was Vijender Singh, there was Mary Kom. All of their country's leading athletes were present there in that meeting. There was a consensus there that this issue has to be escalated to whatever level possible, and the issue has to be made into one of national interest, so that the athletes community, the country as a whole, can stand behind Sarita Devi. And obviously it has borne fruit, because if you actually raise this protest to that level internationally and make it a point to put across your point of view that look at her context, look at the situation in which she was forced to act in the way she did, obviously the level of punishment has to come down from a life ban. So yes, Preeti, you're absolutely right. This has indeed borne fruit, and this 1 year ban should come as a major relief for Sarita.
Boria, I'd urge you to just stay on with us. We're also getting in my colleague Radhika Tongar for more on that story. Radhika, in that email that was put forth by AIBA, can you give us details on what exactly was communicated?
Yes, Preeti, as far as the AIBA is concerned, like Boria was also mentioning, once the Asian Games were over, the AIBA had in fact taken this issue really strongly, even though the Olympic Council of Asia, like Boria mentioned, did not want to pursue the matter. So after appeals from a lot of corners, obviously the Sports Ministry, the Indian Olympic Association and Boxing India, the AIBA has finally relented and reduced Sarita's ban to 1 year. That is what the official communication of the International Boxing Federation reads, which in a sense means that Sarita Devi will be able to compete at the 2016 Rio Olympics, which was in fact the main aim that the boxer was also hoping for. She had in fact apologized earlier as well for her outburst, for the way she had reacted, given her medal back. So all that in fact worked in favor of Sarita Devi. Also, Boxing India was in fact formed with the regulations that AIBA had set aside for the Indian Boxing Federation. So obviously with the Boxing India also coming in, and with all the support that was gathering for Sarita Devi, of course AIBA is finally relented, and the official communications that been sent reduces her ban from what AIBA was contemplating, a life ban to a 1 year ban.
Also, Radhika, quickly take us, get us up to speed with what happens to the coach of Sarita Devi.
See, as far as the support staff of Sarita Devi is concerned, it was the coach, and they were all involved with her as far as in Incheon is concerned. So obviously AIBA had taken a strong objection to that. But with Sarita Devi's ban being reduced to 1 year, we do believe that the coach will obviously be allowed to be with Sarita later on. But some sort of repercussions for the coach as well. The communication does not really detail as far as the coach of Sarita Devi is concerned. But yes, it is in fact a relief for the entire boxing fraternity.
Is there a monetary fine as well?
It's not at the moment. Boxing India is anyways willing to bear any sort of expense that may have come through as far as the International Federation is concerned. But the communication does not at the moment detail. There may be something later on, but at the moment its primary focus has been to let Sarita know that there is a relief and she will be able to compete post the 1 year ban that is over.
All right, appreciate you joining us, Radhika. I immediately want to cut across to Boria Mazumdar, who's joining us live at this juncture. Boria, what do you make of the influence of Boxing India at this point of time? They would take heart in this particular achievement of reducing what was being contemplated a life ban to a 1 year ban.
Yes and no. On the one hand, yes, definitely, 1 year ban means she can still compete in Rio. No, because we would want to know. Your question to Radhika was very, very pertinent. What happens to GS Sandhu? What happens to B.I. Fernandez? India's chief coach GS Sandhu and the Cuban coach B.I. Fernandez. These people are absolutely crucial, not for Sarita Devi. They are not Sarita Devi's coaches. They are national coaches. So if they are not alongside our boxers in any international competition leading into Rio, India's boxing contingent suffers big time. Unless Boxing India is able to get their penalties revoked, they get their suspensions revoked completely, India's boxing continues to suffer. That's why the no. I'm happy that Sandeep Jajodia and his team has done all that they could for Sarita by reducing this ban to 1 year, but they should now put pressure to essentially make this thing into a suspension revocation as far as the coaches are concerned.
And Bora, that's what we're going to bring in our colleague Shivani. I believe she has more information on what happens to the support staff, especially what Boria was pointing out, India's foreign coach Mr. Fernandez and GS Sandhu. Shivani, do you have any details on what happens to the support staff?
Well, what we do know right now, Preeti, is that Boxing India is going to speak to the media very, very shortly. They've organized a press conference to actually communicate to the media all the communication that they have received from the International Boxing Federation, the AIBA. So in that, there will be more details given, not just about Sarita Devi's ban and how it came to 1 year. Of course, we are hearing that AIBA wanted a 2-year ban. That is the indication that they had given earlier also. That obviously would have been a huge setback to her, barring her from the Rio Olympics as well. But it seems that Boxing India has managed to negotiate and bring that ban down to 1 year. You've already talked to Boria and others about the significance of that 1 year ban, her being allowed to compete in Rio Olympics. And this ban, of course, is going to be applicable from the Asian Games onwards. So, if the Asian Games were held in August, then, it's a backtracked ban that will come into force because she was already under provisional suspension since the Asian Games got over. But what we do hope is that in the press conference that Boxing India is going to hold very, very shortly, they're going to give more details onto what happens. What I do know is that Boxing India's president, their secretary general, and GS Sandhu, who is one of the people who was provisionally suspended by the AIBA, they're going to be at the press conference and they're going to speak about what happens from here on now. But of course, initially though, it seems to be a bit of a relief for Sarita Devi, because remember the AIBA president himself had come out and said that her career is going to be over. At least it doesn't seem like that.
All right, yes, you're right there. They did say that they're going to make an example of Sarita Devi. Well, right now, indication suggests that is not to be. Sarita Devi has been banned for just about a year. That means which leaves her free to compete for the Rio Olympics. But we'll keep getting our viewers the very latest on what exactly happens to the support staff. And it's crucial, as Boria Mazumdar was pointing out, because they are not just coaches for Sarita Devi, but for other boxers as well. Hoping to dip into the Boxing India press conference to be held, as Shivani, my colleague, pointed out, in just about a few minutes. Trust headlines today to get you up to speed with the very latest. With that, I thank Boria and Shivani for joining us.